There are lies we tell ourselves so convincingly that we forget they're lies. Marcus Chen told himself he didn't date. For 6 years he'd repeated this mantra, to colleagues, to family. To anyone who asked why a successful, handsome 34-year-old CEO was persistently, aggressively single. I don't date. I don't have time. Relationships are distractions. I'm focused on building my company. He said it so often, with such conviction that everyone believed him. Including himself. Almost. Because Marcus Chen had a secret. One he'd buried so deep that even his conscious mind couldn't access it most days. He was in love with his chief operating officer. Had been for 3 years. And the day Olivia Hart walked into his office wearing an engagement ring, Marcus Chen's carefully constructed reality shattered. The man who claimed he didn't date was about to lose his mind over a woman who'd finally stopped waiting for him. This is that story. Before we begin, you need to understand Marcus Chen. Brilliant, ruthless in business, kind to employees, generous with charity, emotionally unavailable to everyone. He'd built Chen Technologies from a garage startup to a billion-dollar enterprise in 8 years. Tech industry darling, Forbes 30 under 30. The entrepreneur everyone wanted to emulate. His success was legendary. His personal life was non-existent. By design. Marcus had convinced himself that emotional detachment was strength, that relationships were weaknesses he couldn't afford, that love was a liability in a world where focus determined success. He had rules, strict rules. Rule 1, no dating. Rule 2, no workplace relationships. Rule 3, no emotional entanglements of any kind. He followed these rules religiously. Turned down advances, declined setups, politely but firmly removed himself from any situation that might lead to romantic involvement. Everyone respected his boundaries. Eventually stopped trying. Everyone except one person, Olivia Hart. She didn't try to date him, didn't pursue him, didn't push his boundaries. She just existed in his orbit. Brilliant, essential, impossible to ignore. For 3 years, Marcus had managed the impossible, working closely with a woman he was attracted to while maintaining absolute emotional distance. He'd convinced himself it was professional respect, admiration for competence, nothing more. The engagement ring proved otherwise, proved that you can lie to everyone, including yourself, until reality forces truth. And reality, in the form of another man claiming Olivia, was about to force Marcus Chen to confront everything he'd been denying for 3 years. The fortress he'd built around his heart was about to crumble, and the man who didn't date was about to discover that some feelings can't be denied forever. Marcus Chen's refusal to date wasn't arbitrary. It was calculated, born from experience, forged in pain. The story started 12 years earlier. Marcus at 22, recent Stanford graduate, full of ambition and naive optimism. Her name was Rebecca Shaw. They met at a tech conference. She was a venture capitalist. Beautiful. Smart. Interested in his startup ideas. They dated for 2 years. Marcus fell hard, completely. The kind of love that consumes you at 22 when you think you're invincible and forever is guaranteed. He proposed on their 2nd anniversary. She said yes. 6 months later, 2 weeks before the wedding, Rebecca left, not for another person, for another opportunity. She'd been offered a position in Singapore, major VC firm, career-defining role. She chose the career. Told Marcus she loved him, but not enough, not more than her ambition, not enough to stay. The breakup devastated him. But what came after destroyed something fundamental. Marcus threw himself into work, built his company with single-minded intensity. No distractions, no relationships, pure focus. Chen Technologies exploded. Success beyond projection. Growth that shocked even Marcus, and he learned something. Heartbreak plus focus equals empire. Without Rebecca, without emotional entanglement, he'd achieved in 3 years what should have taken 10. The correlation was clear to him. Relationships hindered success. Love was liability. So he made rules. No dating, no romantic involvement, no emotional availability. Just work, just building, just success. For 6 years, this worked perfectly. Chen Technologies thrived. Marcus's reputation grew. His emotional unavailability became part of his brand. The cold CEO, the focused founder, the man who chose empire over everything. People admired it, envied it, tried to emulate it. Marcus believed his own mythology, believed he was happy, fulfilled, complete in his isolation. believed until Olivia Hart joined the company 3 years ago. Then everything got complicated, because Olivia made him feel things he'd sworn he'd never feel again. And Marcus, rather than acknowledging those feelings, buried them deeper, convinced himself it was just professional respect, just admiration for a brilliant colleague, nothing more. He repeated this lie for 3 years, until the engagement ring made lying impossible. Olivia Hart joined Chen Technologies as Chief Operating Officer 3 years before the engagement ring. 31 years old, met MBA, previous COO at a successful startup that had just been acquired. Reputation for turning chaos into systems. Marcus hired her after a single interview. She was exactly what the company needed, someone who could operationalize his vision, translate innovation into infrastructure. What he didn't anticipate, she was also exactly what he didn't need. Smart, beautiful, funny, the kind of person who made you want to know them beyond professional capacity. Marcus noticed this immediately, and immediately suppressed it. Rule 1, no dating. Rule 2, no workplace relationships. Olivia was both potential date and workplace colleague, doubly forbidden. So Marcus did what he always did. Erected walls, professional, polite, distant. He treated Olivia with respect, but never warmth, valued her contributions, but never her personally, worked with her daily, but never really talked to her. Olivia noticed. She'd been hired as a partner-level executive, expected collaborative relationship, got cold professionalism instead. She adapted, matched his energy, professional, efficient, distant. They built Chen Technologies together over 3 years. Perfect professional partnership. Revenue tripled. Employee count grew from 50 to 300. Products launched, markets dominated. They were extraordinarily effective together, and extraordinarily separate. Marcus convinced himself this was ideal. Proof that you could work closely with someone attractive without complication. What he didn't know, Olivia had developed feelings too. Not immediately, gradually. She'd been intrigued by Marcus from the start, his brilliance, his vision, his intensity. But his coldness kept her distant. For the first year, she barely thought about him personally, just professionally. Year 2, something shifted. She started noticing things, the way he got excited about new technology, the rare smile when a project succeeded, the kindness he showed employees despite his CEO distance. Small moments, accumulated over months. By year 3, Olivia admitted to herself she had feelings for Marcus Chen. Feelings that were completely unreciprocated, unpursued, unacknowledged. Because Marcus had made his position clear, he didn't date, and Olivia respected that. Admired it even. A man who knew what he wanted and stayed disciplined. So she did what any professional woman would do, moved on, started dating, seriously, deliberately. Met David Chen, no relation to Marcus, at a friend's dinner party. Doctor, cardiologist, successful, kind, available. Everything Marcus wasn't. They dated for 8 months. David was attentive, present, emotionally open. He fell in love with Olivia quickly, proposed. On their 8-month anniversary, Olivia said yes. Not because she was desperately in love with David, but because she was tired of waiting for a man who'd made it clear he was unavailable. Because David was good and real and offering her a future. Because Marcus Chen would never offer her anything beyond professional collaboration, so she said yes. And Monday morning, she walked into Marcus's office wearing an engagement ring, about to trigger the emotional avalanche Marcus had been denying for 3 years, about to prove that you can claim you don't date all you want, but you can't claim you don't care when the person you've been suppressing feelings for chooses someone else. Marcus Chen was about to learn this the hard way. Monday morning, 9 a.m., Marcus was in his office reviewing quarterly projections when Olivia knocked. Standard Monday morning meeting. They did this every week. Operations review, strategy alignment, routine. Except today wasn't routine. "Come in," Marcus called, eyes still on his laptop. Olivia entered, sat across from him, opened her tablet. "Before we start," she said, voice careful, "I need to tell you something personal." Marcus looked up. Personal conversations weren't their norm. Red flag. "Okay." Olivia held up her left hand. Diamond ring. Modest but clear. "I got engaged this weekend. I wanted you to hear it from me before office gossip spreads." Time stopped. Marcus stared at the ring, at Olivia's hand, at proof that she belonged to someone else. Something happened in his chest, pressure, tightness, like his ribcage was compressing his lungs. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only stare at that ring and feel something fundamental breaking inside him. "Congratulations," he heard himself say, voice flat, automatic. "Thank you. I know this might affect some dynamics. David, my fiancé, understands I work long hours, but I wanted to be transparent about potential schedule changes as we plan the wedding." "Wedding," she said. "Wedding." Olivia was getting married, to someone named David, someone who wasn't Marcus. "Of course," Marcus said, still automatic, still disconnected from the chaos happening internally. "Whatever you need, schedule flexibility, time off, whatever supports you." Olivia smiled, relieved. "Thank you, I appreciate that. Should we start the operations review?" They did, 45 minutes of discussing metrics and strategy. Marcus participated, responded, made decisions, all while feeling like he was watching himself from outside his body. All while that engagement ring glinted in his peripheral vision. All while something he'd been denying for 3 years screamed at him from beneath layers of suppression. The meeting ended. Olivia left. Marcus sat in his office, alone, staring at nothing. What had just happened? Why did he feel like this? Like grief, like loss, like something precious had been taken. But that didn't make sense. He didn't date, didn't want relationships, had no claim on Olivia beyond professional. So why did her engagement feel like devastation? Marcus tried to rationalize it. He was losing a valuable COO to potential distraction. That's what this was. Professional concern. Except it didn't feel professional. It felt personal, visceral, painful. He tried working, couldn't focus. Tried reviewing documents. Read the same paragraph 5 times without comprehension. 10:30 a.m. He gave up, left the office, unprecedented. "Cancel my meetings," he told his assistant. "I'm taking the day." She looked shocked. Marcus never took days off. Never. He drove, no destination, just drove. Ended up at the beach, sat in his car, stared at the ocean. Tried to understand what was happening to him. Olivia was engaged. Why did that matter? Why did it feel like his world was ending? The answer tried to surface. He pushed it down. No, this wasn't what it looked like. He didn't have feelings for Olivia. He didn't date, didn't do relationships. This was just surprise. Adjustment to change. Nothing more. But the tightness in his chest disagreed. The inability to breathe disagreed. The fact that he was sitting in his car at the beach in the middle of a Monday when he should be working disagreed. Marcus Chen, CEO who never took time off, who lived for work, who had built an empire through focus, was falling apart. Over an engagement ring. Over a woman he'd claimed was just a colleague. Over feelings he'd denied for 3 years. The truth was trying to break through. Marcus fought it, spent Monday at the beach, returned to the office Tuesday, determined to bury this, to restore normalcy, to prove he was fine. He wasn't fine. And everyone was about to notice. Tuesday through Thursday were a study in controlled disintegration. Marcus returned to work Tuesday determined to be normal, professional, focused, unbothered by Olivia's engagement. He lasted 3 hours. By 11 a.m. he'd snapped at 2 department heads, rejected a project proposal he'd have normally approved, left a board call early with a migraine excuse. Wednesday was worse. Olivia wore the ring. Of course she wore it. Why wouldn't she? But every time Marcus saw it, every meeting, every hallway pass, every shared workspace moment, something twisted in him. He became hyper-aware of her. The ring, always the ring. Glinting, mocking, proof of her belonging to someone else. Meetings with Olivia became torture. He couldn't focus, couldn't maintain the professional distance he'd perfected over 3 years. Found himself staring, noticing things he'd trained himself not to notice. The way she tucked hair behind her ear when concentrating. The small smile when she solved a problem. The intelligence in her eyes when she challenged his ideas. Had she always been this present, this vivid? Or had he just never let himself see it? Wednesday afternoon, Olivia caught him staring. "Marcus, did you hear the question?" He hadn't, had no idea what they'd been discussing. "Sorry, distracted." "Could you repeat?" She repeated. He still couldn't focus. After the meeting, Olivia lingered. "Are you okay? You've seemed off since Monday." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You left early Monday. You've been distracted. If my engagement is creating professional complications..." "It's not," Marcus interrupted. Too sharp, too defensive. Olivia looked unconvinced. "Marcus, I value our working relationship. If this changes things, I need to know." "It doesn't change anything. Congratulations on your engagement. I'm happy for you. Let's focus on work." Lie. Complete lie. It changed everything. He wasn't happy for her. He was miserable. But admitting that required admitting feelings he'd spent 3 years denying. So he lied. To her, to himself. Thursday brought a new torture, engagement party planning. Olivia's assistant, her desk was near Marcus's office, was on the phone coordinating. He heard everything. Venue selection, guest lists, menu choices. Each detail was a knife. Olivia was planning a life with someone else, a wedding, a marriage, a future, with David the cardiologist. A man Marcus had never met but already hated with irrational intensity. What kind of person was he? What did he offer that Marcus didn't? Emotional availability, probably. The ability to say I love you without having a panic attack. Willingness to build a relationship instead of hiding behind work. All things Marcus had claimed not to want. All things he suddenly, desperately wanted. But only with Olivia. Thursday evening, Marcus worked late, as always. Olivia was leaving, early, for her. 6 p.m. instead of her usual 8. She stopped by his office. Heading out, David's making dinner. David, making dinner, for Olivia. In what Marcus assumed was their shared apartment. Have a good evening, Marcus managed. Olivia hesitated at the door. Marcus, seriously, are you okay? You haven't been yourself all week. I'm fine, just stressed about the product launch. Another lie. The product launch was proceeding perfectly. He was stressed about Olivia leaving, going home to David, building a life Marcus suddenly realized he wanted to be part of. Okay, but if you need to talk, I don't, but thank you, she left. Marcus sat in his office until midnight, not working, just sitting, trying to understand what was happening to him. He'd spent 6 years claiming he didn't date. 3 years working with Olivia while denying any attraction. 1 engagement ring and 4 days later he was falling apart. The fortress he'd built was crumbling, and Marcus had no idea how to stop it, or if he even wanted to. Friday arrived, 1 week since the engagement announcement. Marcus hadn't slept properly in 5 days. Couldn't eat, couldn't focus, couldn't function. His assistant had noticed, his team had noticed, the whole company probably noticed. The cold CEO was melting down, and it was about to get worse. Friday lunch, Olivia had a meeting with David at the office. He was bringing lunch, meeting her colleagues, being supportive, standard fiancé behavior. Marcus heard about it from his assistant. Olivia's fiancé is bringing lunch. She's introducing him to the leadership team. Want to join? No. Too fast. Too harsh. His assistant looked surprised. It would be appropriate. You're the CEO. Show support for your COO's engagement. She was right. It would be appropriate. It would also destroy him, but refusing would be conspicuous. Weird. Fine. What time? Noon. Conference room. Noon came. Marcus entered the conference room. Leadership team was there. Chatting, waiting. And then David arrived. With Olivia. Marcus's first thought, he's handsome. Second thought, he looks kind. Third thought, I hate him. Irrational, unfair, true. David was everything Marcus wasn't. Warm, open, smiling, comfortable with emotion. He shook hands with everyone, remembered names immediately, asked thoughtful questions, made jokes, laughed easily, touched Olivia's back with casual intimacy that made Marcus want to break furniture. This was the man Olivia chose. This emotionally available, warm, present man, the opposite of Marcus in every way. Marcus, David approached, hand extended. Great to finally meet you. Olivia talks about you all the time. Marcus shook his hand, professional, cold. Likewise. David didn't seem to notice the frost. She credits you with building an incredible company, says working with you is the best professional experience of her career. Professional experience, not relationship, not connection. Professional, because that's all Marcus had ever offered. Olivia's instrumental to our success, Marcus said flatly. She's instrumental to everything, David said, looking at Olivia with open affection. I'm the luckiest man alive. Olivia smiled at him, genuine, happy. The kind of smile Marcus had never seen directed at himself. Something in Marcus shattered, completely, irreparably. He couldn't do this. Couldn't stand here watching Olivia smile at another man. Couldn't pretend to be happy. Couldn't maintain the facade. Excuse me, Marcus said abruptly. I have a call. He left, walked straight past his office, out of the building, to his car. Sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel, breathing like he'd run a marathon. What was happening to him? This wasn't normal, wasn't professional, wasn't who he was. Marcus Chen didn't fall apart over women, didn't care about relationships, didn't date. Except he did care, cared so much he couldn't breathe. Cared so much that watching Olivia with her fiancé felt like dying. Cared in a way that made 6 years of claiming he didn't date feel like the biggest lie he'd ever told. The truth Marcus had been avoiding for 3 years. For 6 years, really, since Rebecca crashed into him with undeniable force. He was in love with Olivia Hart. Had been for years. And he'd denied it so successfully that she'd moved on, found someone else, was planning a wedding, while Marcus sat in his car having the breakdown he'd been avoiding since Monday. The cold CEO was losing his mind. Over a woman he claimed he didn't date. Over feelings he'd insisted didn't exist. Over a future he'd convinced himself he didn't want. Until it was too late. Until someone else claimed it. Until the engagement ring made denying impossible. Marcus Chen sat in his car and admitted the truth. He'd made a catastrophic mistake. And he had no idea how to fix it. Friday evening, Marcus sat in his penthouse apartment. View of the city, floor-to-ceiling windows, modern, expensive, empty. He'd built this life deliberately. Success without complication, achievement without emotional entanglement. Tonight it felt hollow. His phone buzzed. Text from his brother, Kevin. Heard you left work early twice this week. What's wrong? Kevin knew him too well. Younger by 3 years but perceptive in ways Marcus envied. Marcus called him. I'm fine. You're not fine. You never leave work early. What happened? Silence. Marcus didn't know where to start. Talk to me, Kevin pressed. Whatever it is, you can't solve it by sitting alone in that fortress you call an apartment. Olivia got engaged. The words came out before Marcus could stop them. Long pause on Kevin's end. Olivia. Your COO, Olivia? Yes. And this bothers you because, I don't know. Yes, you do. Marcus, come on. We both know you're in love with her. I'm not. Don't lie to me. You've been talking about her differently for 3 years. Olivia says this. Olivia solved that. Olivia's brilliant. I've heard it all. You're in love with her. You've just been too scared to admit it. Marcus felt something crack. The last wall of denial. I don't date, Kevin. I have rules. Screw your rules. You made those rules because Rebecca broke your heart when you were 22. That was 12 years ago. You built an empire to avoid feeling that pain again. But you're not avoiding pain. You're just delaying it. And now it's here. Because Olivia's marrying someone else while you sit in your emotional fortress pretending you don't care. The truth of it stung. What am I supposed to do? She's engaged. She chose someone else. I missed my chance. Did you ever give her a chance to choose you? Did you ever indicate you were interested? No, but Then you didn't miss your chance. You never took it. There's a difference. She's engaged, Kevin. That's not a try-harder situation. That's a done deal. Is it? Has she married him yet? No, but then it's not done. Look, I'm not saying blow up her relationship. I'm saying figure out what you want. And if what you want is Olivia, you need to tell her. Before it's actually too late. I can't ask her to leave her fiancé for me. You're not asking her to leave anyone. You're giving her complete information. Right now, she thinks you don't date, don't want relationships, are completely unavailable. She made her choice based on incomplete data. Give her the complete picture. Let her decide from there. And if she still chooses him, then you accept it, move on, at least you'll know. But Marcus not telling her, letting her marry someone else while you're in love with her. You'll regret that forever. Marcus knew Kevin was right, had known since Monday. Just didn't want to face it. I don't know how to do this. Feelings, vulnerability, admitting I was wrong about everything. You learn, you try, you risk it. That's what people do when something matters. What if I'm not capable? What if 6 years of emotional unavailability broke something fundamental? Then fix it. Go to therapy, do the work. But don't use fear as an excuse to do nothing. You're not a coward in business. Don't be one in life. They talked for another hour. Kevin, the younger brother who'd always been braver emotionally, walked Marcus through it. What Marcus was feeling. Love, delayed recognition, panic over loss. What Marcus had been avoiding. Vulnerability, risk, the possibility of heartbreak. What Marcus needed to do. Admit the truth to himself. Then decide if he'd admit it to Olivia. By the time the call ended, Marcus had clarity. He was in love with Olivia Hart. Had been for 3 years, probably longer. Had denied it through rigid rules and emotional unavailability. Had lost her to someone else because he was too scared to take a risk. The question now, what did he do about it? Kevin's advice, tell her. Give her complete information. But was that fair? She was engaged, happy, planning a future. Who was Marcus to disrupt that? Except, was she happy, really happy? Or had she settled for available when what she wanted, maybe, was Marcus? He didn't know. Couldn't know without asking. But asking meant risking everything, professional relationship, reputation, the fortress he'd built. Marcus sat with this dilemma until sunrise, watching the city wake up, trying to decide if love was worth the risk, if Olivia was worth breaking every rule he'd made. By dawn, he knew the answer. Yes. She was worth everything. Now he just had to figure out how to tell her. Saturday morning, Marcus made a decision. He would tell Olivia the truth. Not to sabotage her engagement, not to pressure her, just to give her complete information. She deserved to know that the man she'd worked with for 3 years, the man who'd claimed he didn't date, had been lying to himself about his feelings for her. What she did with that information was her choice, but she deserved the choice. Marcus spent Saturday preparing, not physically, emotionally. He called his therapist, the one he'd seen briefly after Rebecca, hadn't talked to in 10 years, got an emergency session, spent 2 hours unpacking 6 years of emotional avoidance. The therapist was direct. You've been using work as a barrier to intimacy, classic avoidant attachment. Rebecca's abandonment taught you that love leads to pain, so you've constructed an identity around not needing it. But Marcus, you can't avoid feeling forever. Eventually, the feelings find you anyway, usually in crisis. Like now. So the question is, what do you do with this awareness? I want to tell her, but she's engaged. Is that ethical? Is it ethical to let her marry someone else while you're in love with her and she doesn't know? She might not care, might be completely happy with David. Then telling her changes nothing except giving her information. But what if she's not completely happy? What if she chose David because she thought you were unavailable? Doesn't she deserve to know you're not? Valid point. The session ended with homework. Write out what he wanted to say. Practice vulnerability. Prepare for rejection. Saturday evening, Marcus wrote. Page after page of truth. How he'd noticed Olivia immediately. How he'd suppressed his attraction through rigid rules. How he'd convinced himself it was just professional respect. How the engagement ring had shattered that delusion. How he'd spent a week falling apart. How he realized he'd been in love with her for 3 years. How he understood if she didn't feel the same. How he respected her engagement. How he just needed her to know the truth before making permanent decisions based on incomplete information. He wrote until midnight, then rewrote, then simplified. By Sunday morning, he had it. The truth, clear, honest, vulnerable. Now he just needed the courage to deliver it. Sunday, he practiced, said it out loud to his empty apartment. Olivia, I need to tell you something I should have said 3 years ago. Olivia, I know this is terrible timing, but Olivia, I've been lying to you and myself for 3 years. None of it sounded right. All of it was terrifying, but necessary. Sunday evening, Marcus texted Olivia. Can we talk tomorrow? Private conversation, not work-related. Her response came 5 minutes later. Sure, everything okay? I need to tell you something. Can you meet for coffee before work? 7 a.m.? That sounds ominous, but yes. Usual place? Yes, thank you. Done. Committed. Tomorrow morning, Marcus would tell Olivia Hart that he was in love with her, that the cold CEO who claimed he didn't date had been lying to everyone, including himself, that she deserved to know the truth before marrying someone else. Tomorrow, everything would change. Either Olivia would feel something too, unlikely but possible, or she'd confirm that she loved David and Marcus would have to accept it. Either way, the fortress was coming down. The emotional unavailability was ending. Marcus Chen was about to risk everything on the chance that love was worth the vulnerability. Sunday night, he didn't sleep, just prepared for the most important conversation of his life, for the moment he'd been avoiding for 6 years, for the truth that was about to change everything. Monday morning, 7 a.m. The coffee shop was their occasional meeting spot, neutral ground, public enough to be appropriate, private enough for real conversation. Marcus arrived first, ordered coffee he wouldn't drink, sat at a corner table, rehearsed his opening line one more time. Olivia, I need to tell you something. Simple, direct, honest. She arrived at 7:03, professional dress, no ring. She removed it for gym mornings, Marcus had noticed. Small mercy. She sat across from him, concerned expression. You look terrible. Didn't sleep. Marcus, what's going on? You've been off for 2 weeks. Since, she trailed off. Since you got engaged. Yes. Olivia's expression shifted, guarded. Is this about work? Because I promised nothing would change professionally. It's not about work, it's about me being an idiot for 3 years. Silence. Olivia waited. Marcus took a breath, now or never. I've been lying to you and to myself for 3 years, maybe longer. About what? About not dating, about not wanting relationships, about being emotionally unavailable by choice. Olivia's face was unreadable. I don't understand. I claimed I don't date, made it part of my identity. The cold CEO, the focused founder, no time for relationships, no interest in emotional entanglement. I said it so much I believed it. Okay. But it was a lie, not entirely conscious, but a lie. Because Olivia, I have been interested, for 3 years, in you, only you, and I've spent 3 years denying it, suppressing it, pretending it was just professional respect, convincing myself I was just admiring a colleague. Olivia went very still. What are you saying? I'm saying I have feelings for you, real feelings, love, probably. I've been in love with you for 3 years and was too scared and stupid to acknowledge it. Until you got engaged. Until I saw that ring and realized I was losing you. And then I couldn't deny it anymore. The words hung between them. Olivia stared at him, shocked, processing. You have feelings for me? Yes. For 3 years? Yes. But you were so cold, so distant. You treated me like just another employee. I know, that was the suppression, the denial. I convinced myself that distance was professionalism, that coldness was appropriate. Really, it was fear. Fear of feeling what I felt. Fear of risking what happened with Rebecca. Fear of being vulnerable again. Who's Rebecca? My ex from 12 years ago. She left me 2 weeks before our wedding. Chose her career over me. It broke something in me. I've spent 12 years avoiding that pain. Building rules, no dating, no relationships. Using work as a fortress against feeling anything. Olivia's expression softened slightly. That must have been devastating. It was, but using it as an excuse for 12 years of emotional unavailability? That's on me. Olivia, I'm not telling you this to make excuses. I'm telling you because you deserve to know the truth. The truth that you have feelings for me. Have, I don't know the right tense. You're engaged, you've moved on, you chose someone else, and I understand that. I do. But I couldn't let you marry David without knowing, without giving you complete information. Complete information about what? About me, about the fact that the man who claimed he didn't date was lying, that I do want a relationship, just specifically with you, that if I'd been braver, more honest, less scared, you might have had a different choice 3 years ago, or 1 year ago, or 6 months ago, before David. Olivia looked down at her hands, where the ring usually sat. You're telling me this now? After I'm engaged? After I've made a choice? I know the timing is terrible, selfish, but Olivia, you made your choice based on incomplete information. You thought I was unavailable, uninterested. You had no reason to think I felt anything. So you moved on. Found someone who was available. That's healthy, smart, the right thing to do when someone shows you nothing. Then why tell me now? Why disrupt my life when you had 3 years to say something? Because I'm a coward who finally found courage. Because I watched you with David on Friday and realized I couldn't live with the regret of not trying. Because you deserve to make your choice with all the information, including the fact that I'm in love with you and would like a chance to prove I can be more than the cold CEO you've known. Tears were forming in Olivia's eyes. This is so unfair. I know. I waited, Marcus, I waited for 2 years, hoping you'd notice me, hoping you'd see me as more than your COO. And you were so cold, so distant, so clear that you weren't interested. So I stopped waiting. I moved on. I found someone good, someone available, someone who sees me. And now you're telling me you felt it all along. The pain in her voice destroyed him. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I made you wait. I'm sorry I was too broken to act. I'm sorry my timing is catastrophic. But Olivia, I had to tell you, before you married someone else, I had to give you the choice. What choice? I'm engaged. I love David. He's good to me. Do you love him? Or do you love that he's available? The question was harsh, necessary. Olivia's tears spilled over. That's not fair. Neither is watching you marry someone else while I'm in love with you. Neither is you making a forever decision without knowing I want forever with you. Olivia, I'm not asking you to leave David. I'm asking you to be honest with yourself. Is he what you want, or what you settled for because I was too scared to offer myself? I can't answer that. Then think about it, please. Before you marry him, just think about it, and know that if you choose David, I'll accept it. I'll be professional. I'll move on. But if there's any part of you that wondered if I felt what you felt, now you know. I do. I did. I was just too broken to admit it. Olivia stood abruptly. I can't do this right now. I need to think. Of course. And Marcus, this changes everything. You know that, right? Our working relationship, the company, everything. I know I'm sorry. Stop apologizing. Just give me space. Let me process this. How much space? I don't know. Days, maybe weeks. I need to figure out what I'm feeling, what I want, what's real versus what's fantasy. Take all the time you need. Olivia left. Marcus sat in the coffee shop alone. He'd done it, told her the truth, risked everything. Now he had to wait. Wait while Olivia decided between the man who'd been emotionally available for 8 months and the man who'd been emotionally unavailable for 3 years. Wait while she chose her future. Wait while Marcus's entire life hung in the balance. The cold CEO who claimed he didn't date had just confessed love. Now he had to live with the consequences. The week after the confession was agony. Olivia requested personal time. 3 days off. Needed to think. Marcus granted it immediately. No questions. Those 3 days felt like 3 years. He tried working, failed spectacularly. His team noticed. How? Could they not? The CEO was falling apart. Kevin called daily, checking in, providing support. You did the right thing telling her, now you have to trust her process. What if she chooses David? Then you accept it and move forward. But Marcus, at least you tried. At least you won't spend your life wondering. Small comfort. Marcus spent 72 hours in limbo, not knowing if Olivia felt the same, if his confession changed anything, if 3 years of suppressed feelings could overcome 8 months of actual relationship. The logical answer, probably not. David was there, present, emotionally available, everything Marcus hadn't been. Why would Olivia choose the man who'd ignored her for 3 years over the man who'd loved her for 8 months? She wouldn't. Marcus tried to prepare for rejection, tried to accept that he'd missed his chance through his own cowardice, tried to imagine working with Olivia after she chose David, after she married him. Couldn't. The thought was unbearable. Maybe he'd have to leave the company, his company, the empire he'd built. Small price to pay for emotional honesty. Wednesday evening, day 3 of Olivia's absence, Marcus got a text. Can you meet tomorrow? Same place, same time? His heart stopped. This was it, the decision. Yes, I'll be there. No sleep Wednesday night, just waiting, preparing for either outcome. If she chose him, figure out how to be the man she deserved, how to break through 6 years of emotional unavailability, how to build a relationship when he'd spent a decade avoiding them. If she chose David, accept it gracefully. Respect her decision. Find a way to move forward. Both terrified him. Both were possible. Thursday morning, 7 a.m. Marcus arrived early. Same table, same coffee he wouldn't drink. Olivia arrived at 7:05. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept either. Sat across from him. Long silence. Marcus waited. This was her meeting, her decision. I talked to David, Olivia said finally. Marcus's stomach dropped. Past tense. Talked. That sounded final. About us, about your confession, about everything. You told him? I had to. I couldn't make this decision without being honest with him. He deserved to know why I was questioning everything. How did he react? He was hurt, but understanding. He said he'd suspected I had feelings for you, that he'd seen the way I talked about you, the way I lit up discussing work. He said he'd hoped I'd choose him anyway, but he wasn't surprised I needed to think about it. He sounds like a good man. He is. That's what makes this so hard. Marcus's heart was racing. Makes what hard? Olivia met his eyes. Hers were wet. I've been in love with you for 2 years, Marcus, since year 1 of working together. I've watched you, hoped you'd notice me, convinced myself you never would. When David came along, kind, available, interested, I tried to transfer those feelings to him, tried to fall in love with someone who could love me back. Did it work? Partially, I do love David, he's wonderful, but loving him felt like settling. Like choosing safe over scary, like accepting available over wanted, and I convinced myself that was mature, smart, the right choice when you'd made it clear you weren't an option. And now you're telling me you were always an option, that I chose based on incomplete information, that the man I actually wanted was too scared to say he wanted me back. And I'm angry about that, Marcus, so angry. Because I wasted 2 years hoping and wasted 8 months trying to move on, when you felt the same thing the whole time. I know, I'm sorry, stop apologizing. I need you to understand something. If I choose you, it's not because your confession changed how I feel. It's because it gave me permission to admit how I've always felt. But, Marcus, choosing you means choosing scary. Choosing a man who spent 6 years avoiding relationships. Choosing uncertainty. Choosing someone who might wake up tomorrow and decide feelings are too hard and retreat back into the fortress. I won't do that. How do I know? How do I trust that this isn't just panic over losing me, that once you have me, once the chase is over, you won't go back to being the cold CEO? Valid question, terrifying question. You don't know. I can't prove it in advance. I can only promise to try, to do the work, to go to therapy, to break the patterns, to show up every day and choose vulnerability even when it's terrifying. But Olivia, you're right to be scared. I'm scared too. I don't know how to do this, but the first want to learn. With you, if you'll let me. Olivia was crying now. I broke up with David. Marcus's world stopped. What? Last night I broke up with him, gave back the ring, ended the engagement. Because of me, because I couldn't marry him while in love with you, because he deserved someone who chose him first, not settled for him. Because even if you and I don't work out, marrying David would have been unfair to him. Olivia, but Marcus, I need you to understand. I didn't break up with David to be with you. I broke up with him to be honest with myself. Whether you and I happen is still undecided. What do you need to decide? Time, real dates, you proving through actions that you've changed, that you're willing to be vulnerable, that this isn't just panic but genuine desire for a relationship, for me. How long? I don't know, months probably. I need to see you try. Need to see if the cold CEO can actually thaw, if the man who claimed he didn't date can actually build a relationship. I can do that, whatever you need, I'll prove it. And if you can't, if the work is too hard and you retreat, then you walk away and I accept it. But Olivia, I'm going to try, I promise you, I'm going to try harder than I've tried at anything. She nodded, wiped her tears. Okay, then here's what I need. First, therapy. You and me. Individual and eventually couples. We both have work to do. Agreed. Second, complete honesty. No more suppression, no more pretending. If you're scared, you tell me. If you're overwhelmed, you tell me. No more hiding behind work. I can do that. Third, patience. I'm hurt, Marcus, angry that you wasted 3 years, scared that you'll break my heart. I need time to trust you. Can you give me that? As much as you need. And fourth, at work nothing changes. Professionally, we're still CEO and COO. We keep our personal life separate. No favoritism, no complications. Can you do that? Yes, absolutely. Olivia stood. Then we can try, slowly, carefully, one day at a time. But Marcus, if you hurt me, if you retreat or give up or decide this is too hard, I'm done. I won't wait again. I won't hope again. This is your one chance. Don't waste it. I won't. I swear to you, I won't. She left. Marcus sat there shaking. Olivia had chosen him. Chosen the possibility of him. Given him the chance he'd never thought he'd get. Now he had to prove he deserved it. Had to become the man she needed. Had to break through 6 years of emotional unavailability and build something real. It was terrifying. It was necessary. It was everything. The cold CEO who claimed he didn't date was about to learn how to love, and Marcus Chen had never been more scared or more determined in his life. The transformation didn't happen overnight. Marcus had spent 6 years building emotional walls, 3 years denying feelings for Olivia, 12 years avoiding vulnerability since Rebecca. Dismantling that in weeks was impossible, but he tried. Week 1, Marcus started therapy. Real therapy. Not the emergency session, but committed weekly sessions. Dr. Sarah Martinez specialized in attachment trauma and relationship avoidance. First session, she was direct. You've spent 12 years equating emotional availability with weakness, relationships with failure, love with inevitable pain. We need to dismantle those equations. But, Marcus, this is hard work. Uncomfortable work. Are you ready? I have to be. I finally have something worth being uncomfortable for. They worked on identifying his patterns, the ways he'd used work to avoid intimacy, how he'd constructed an identity around not needing anyone, why Rebecca's abandonment had taught him that love was conditional and dangerous. But Marcus, Dr. Martinez said in week 2, love is conditional. All love is. People stay because they choose to, not because they're obligated. Rebecca chose her career. That hurt, but it didn't mean you were unlovable. It meant she valued something else more. That's not a reflection of your worth. The realization was both painful and liberating. He'd spent 12 years believing he wasn't enough. That if he'd been better, different, more successful, Rebecca would have stayed. But that wasn't true. Rebecca had made her choice based on what she wanted, not on what Marcus lacked. Understanding this changed something fundamental. Week 2, first official date with Olivia. Marcus was terrified. He'd taken women to dinner before. Business dinners, networking events, always transactional. This was different. This was personal, vulnerable, real. He picked her up at 7 p.m. reservations at a quiet restaurant. Nothing flashy. Olivia's request. She wanted to talk, not perform. Dinner was awkward at first. Marcus didn't know how to do this. Small talk felt forced. Romantic gestures felt performative. Olivia noticed his discomfort. You're trying too hard, just be yourself. What if myself is the cold CEO you've known for 3 years? Then show me the version underneath, the one who admitted he's been in love with me, the one who's scared and trying anyway. That's the person I want to know. So Marcus tried something radical, honesty. I don't know how to do this. Dating, vulnerability. I'm terrified I'm going to mess this up. Revert to old patterns, disappoint you. That's better, that's real. Marcus, I don't need you to be perfect. I need you to be present, to try, to let me see the person behind the walls. They talked for 3 hours about his childhood, parents who'd divorced when he was 8, taught him that relationships ended badly, about Rebecca and the wall that created, about 6 years of using success as a substitute for connection. Olivia shared, too, her own fears, how she'd developed feelings for him year 1, how she'd convinced herself to move on, how David had been safe but not quite right. I kept waiting for David to feel like you did, she admitted, the way my heart raced when you walked into a room, the way I'd prepare for meetings with you, the excitement of solving problems together. It never happened with David. He was kind and stable, but he wasn't you. What if I can't be what you imagined? What if the real me is disappointing? Then we figure it out. But Marcus, stop catastrophizing. Just be here, now, with me. That's all I'm asking. The date ended at her apartment door. Marcus wanted to kiss her. Didn't know if he should. Olivia solved the dilemma. You're overthinking this too. She kissed him. Soft, brief, perfect. See you tomorrow at work, where we're professionals. Right, professionals, she smiled. You did good tonight. Keep doing that. Week 3, Marcus made mistakes, reverted to old patterns, got too focused on work, canceled a date because of a board meeting. Valid reason, but poor communication. Olivia called him out. This is exactly what I was afraid of, you choosing work over us. The board meeting was important. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm saying you didn't communicate. Didn't ask if we could reschedule, just assumed I'd understand. That's the old Marcus, cold, distant. Assuming I'll accommodate your priorities without discussion. She was right. I'm sorry. You're right. I should have called, asked, communicated. Yes, you should have. Marcus, I know this is new for you. I'm patient. But I need effort, real effort, not just showing up when it's convenient. It won't happen again. Don't promise. Just do better, consistently. That's what I need to see. Marcus took the feedback, used it in therapy. I default to work when I'm uncomfortable, he told Dr. Martinez. It's my safety, my control. But Olivia's right. It's the old pattern. How do I break it? By recognizing the discomfort and choosing differently. When you feel the urge to hide and work, pause. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding? Then address that directly instead of running. Week 4, progress. Marcus practiced vulnerability, told Olivia when he was scared, when he felt inadequate, when he didn't know what to do. I'm afraid I'm not giving you what you need, he said one evening. Then ask me what I need, don't assume. What do you need? This, honesty. You telling me you're scared instead of pretending you're fine. I don't need perfect, Marcus. I need real. They established rhythms, date nights twice a week, check-ins when things felt off, boundaries around work, no business talk during personal time. At work, they maintained professionalism. It was strange, being CEO and COO during the day, partners at night. But they made it work through clear communication and mutual respect. The company noticed something had shifted. Marcus was softer, more present, less cold. Kevin visited the office, saw the change immediately. You look different. Different how? Less like a robot, more like a person. It's unsettling but good. I'm working on it, being a person instead of just a CEO. How's it going with Olivia? Terrifying, amazing, hard, worth it. That's love, brother. Welcome to the human race. Month 2, Marcus met Olivia's mother. Terrifying didn't begin to describe it. Olivia's mother, Margaret, was protective, skeptical, had heard about the cold CEO who'd wasted 3 years. Dinner was an interrogation. Olivia tells me you claimed not to date for 6 years. Yes, ma'am. And yet here you are, dating my daughter. What changed? I realized I was lying to myself, that the rules I'd made to protect myself were actually isolating me, that I'd rather risk being hurt again than lose Olivia. And if you hurt her, she's already broken one engagement because of you. Then I'll have failed at the most important thing I've ever attempted. But Mrs. Hart, I'm in therapy. I'm doing the work. I'm showing up every day trying to be the man she deserves. I can't promise I'll be perfect, but I promise I'll keep trying. Margaret studied him, long, uncomfortable silence. Olivia waited for you for 2 years, settled for a good man because you were unavailable. finally moved on, and then you disrupted her life. You understand how unfair that is? Yes, completely. So why should I believe you're serious, that this isn't just panic over losing her? Because I've never worked harder at anything in my life. Building Chen Technologies was easy compared to this. Learning to be vulnerable, to communicate, to show up emotionally. That's the hardest thing I've ever done. And I'm doing it because she's worth it, because I love her, because I'd rather fail trying than succeed at staying isolated. Margaret's expression softened slightly. You really love her, more than I knew it was possible to love someone. Good, because if you hurt her, I'll make your life very difficult. I have connections, resources, a mother's protective instinct. Understood. Later, Olivia asked how it went. Your mother threatened me. I think that means she's considering approving. She's protective. I was devastated after breaking things off with David. Questioned everything. She watched me struggle. She needs to know you're worth that struggle. Am I? Worth it? You're proving you are. Every day. Keep doing that. Month 3, Marcus introduced Olivia to Kevin. Easier conversation. Kevin already approved. Finally, I've been hearing about Olivia for 3 years. Good to put a face to the obsession. I wasn't obsessed, Marcus protested. You were absolutely obsessed. You just didn't admit it. Olivia, he talked about you constantly. Olivia solved this problem. Olivia had this insight. Olivia's brilliant. It was obvious to everyone except him. Olivia laughed. I had no idea. He was so cold at work. Because he's an idiot, but he's learning. I've never seen him like this. Happy, present, human. Thank you for that. 3 months in, Marcus and Olivia had built something real, not perfect. They still fought, still struggled with his tendency to withdraw and her fear of abandonment. But they were trying, learning, growing. The cold CEO was thawing, and Olivia was there, patient and challenging and demanding he show up fully. It was the hardest thing Marcus had ever done, and the most worthwhile. Month 4 brought a crisis. Chen Technologies faced a major challenge. Competitor launched a similar product. Market share threatened. Board pressuring for a response. Marcus's instinct: disappear into work. Fix the problem. Ignore everything else. Old pattern. Familiar. Comfortable. He started staying late, skipping dates, responding to Olivia's texts hours later. Week 1 of crisis, Olivia was patient. Week 2, less patient. Week 3, she called him out. You're doing it again, hiding in work, choosing the company over us. This is a legitimate crisis, Olivia. The company's future is at stake. I know, I'm the COO, I'm dealing with it too, but I'm not using it as an excuse to avoid our relationship. You are. That's not fair. I'm not avoiding. Yes, you are. Marcus, I know this pattern. When things get hard emotionally, you retreat to work. It's safe, controllable. You know how to succeed there. But relationships aren't controllable. They're messy, scary, so you run. The accusation stung because it was true. What do you want from me? The company is in crisis. I'm the CEO. I have to fix this. I want you to fix it without abandoning us. I want you to communicate. To still show up for dates even if you're stressed. To let me support you instead of shutting me out. I'm not shutting you out. You canceled 3 dates this week. You barely texted. When we do talk, you're distracted. That's shutting out, Marcus. That's the old you. And I won't accept it. They fought. Really fought. First major fight since starting to date. Olivia left angry. Marcus sat in his office, frustrated. He was handling a company crisis. Why couldn't she understand that? But the therapy sessions kicked in. Dr. Martinez's voice in his head. When you're uncomfortable emotionally, you retreat to work. It's your pattern. Recognize it. Choose differently. He was doing exactly what Olivia accused him of, using work as escape, as excuse, as fortress against vulnerability. The company crisis was real. His retreat was also real. Both could be true. Marcus called Dr. Martinez. Emergency session. I'm reverting. Olivia called it out. I don't know how to handle company crisis and relationship crisis simultaneously. You're treating them as mutually exclusive. They're not. You can address work challenges while still being present in your relationship. But Marcus, you have to choose to, actively, deliberately, against your instinct to isolate. How? Communication. Tell Olivia you're overwhelmed. Ask for support. Let her help instead of shouldering everything alone. You're not alone anymore. That's what partnership means. The session clarified things. Marcus called Olivia. You're right. I'm sorry. I was retreating, using the company crisis as excuse to avoid being vulnerable about how overwhelmed I am. Silence. Then, thank you for admitting that. Can we talk in person? Yes, come over. Marcus went to her apartment. First time he'd been there in 2 weeks. I'm scared, he admitted immediately. The company crisis terrifies me. What if I fail? What if I can't fix it? What if I lose everything I built? And you handle that fear by isolating, by retreating to what you can control. Yes, it's my pattern. I'm sorry. I don't need you to be sorry. I need you to let me in. Marcus, I can help with the company crisis. I'm the COO. We can solve this together. But I can't help if you shut me out. I'm not used to asking for help, to admitting I'm overwhelmed. I know, but that's what relationships are. Mutual support, shared burden. You don't have to carry everything alone anymore. That night they strategized, together, partners in business and life. Olivia had insights Marcus had missed, solutions he hadn't considered. Together they developed a response to the competitor threat. It worked, not perfectly, not immediately. But over the next month, Chen Technologies regained ground, market share stabilized, board pressure eased because Marcus let Olivia help, let himself be vulnerable, let partnership be real. The crisis became a turning point, proof that Marcus could face challenges without reverting to isolation, proof that he was changing, growing, becoming someone who could sustain a relationship. Month 5, Marcus realized something. He was happy, really happy, for the first time since before Rebecca, maybe for the first time ever. He was genuinely, deeply happy. Not because of success, not because of achievement, because of Olivia, because of connection, because of love. The cold CEO had thawed completely, and the man underneath, vulnerable, flawed, trying, was someone Marcus was learning to be proud of. 6 months after the confession in the coffee shop, Marcus and Olivia stood at a crossroads. They'd been dating, building, learning, growing, but they hadn't defined what came next: marriage, commitment, or just continued dating. The question came up organically one evening. They were at Marcus's penthouse, cooking dinner together, a new ritual. Marcus was terrible at cooking, but tried because Olivia enjoyed it. "Can I ask you something?" Olivia said, chopping vegetables. "Always. Where do you see this going?" "Us?" Marcus froze. The question he'd been both anticipating and dreading. "What do you mean?" "I mean, we've been together 6 months. We're happy, I think. But we haven't talked about future. What we're building toward. If this is just dating or something more." Marcus set down the pan, gave her full attention. "What do you want it to be?" I asked first. Fair. Marcus took a breath. Honesty, vulnerability, everything he'd been learning. "I want everything, with you. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to build a life together. I want marriage, kids maybe, growing old together. Everything I've spent 6 years claiming I didn't want. I want it all, with you. Only you." Olivia's eyes were shining. "You want marriage?" "Yes. Eventually, when you're ready. I know I have to earn that. Prove I've changed. Show that I can sustain this. But Olivia, you're it for me. You're the person I want to build everything with. I broke an engagement 6 months ago, for you, for the possibility of you. I know, and I'm terrified I won't live up to that, but I'm trying every day, to be worth the risk you took." Olivia put down the knife, turned to face him fully. "You are. Worth it. Marcus, these 6 months have shown me who you really are, not the cold CEO, the person underneath, scared, trying, imperfect, real. That's who I fell in love with, and that's who I want to build a future with. So marriage, someday? Someday, when we're both ready, when we've built more foundation. When I fully trust that you won't retreat when things get hard. How do I prove that? Time, consistency, showing up. You're doing it. Keep doing it." They held each other in the kitchen, surrounded by half-prepared dinner. This was love, not grand gestures, just honest conversation about future, about commitment, about choosing each other. "I need to tell you something," Marcus said. "Okay. I'm in therapy still, will be for a while, working through patterns, learning to be better. But Olivia, some days I still want to retreat, still feel the pull of isolation, still default to work when I'm uncomfortable. I know, I see it. What matters is you recognize it and choose differently. That's growth. What if I mess up, really mess up? Then we work through it together. Marcus, I'm not expecting perfection. I'm expecting effort, honesty, commitment to trying. You're giving me that. That's enough." Was it? Marcus hoped so. Month 7 they moved in together. Marcus's penthouse became theirs. Olivia brought her warmth, her books, her life. The sterile bachelor pad transformed into a home. Marcus loved it, the shared space, the domesticity, coming home to someone, everything he'd claimed not to want, everything that made life worth living. Month 8, Marcus met David. Accidental encounter, coffee shop, awkward. David was gracious, extended his hand. "Marcus, I've heard a lot about you." "David, I'm sorry for everything. Don't be. Olivia made the right choice. For her, I've moved on. I'm seeing someone new, someone who chose me first. I'm glad. You seem like a good person. You too. Take care of her. She deserves someone who shows up. I will. I am. Brief conversation, closure for all parties. Proof that sometimes the person you settle for isn't your person. And that's okay. David deserved someone who chose him first. Olivia deserved someone she actually wanted, even if he came with baggage. Marcus deserved a second chance. Everyone got what they needed. Month 9, Marcus realized he wanted to propose. Not yet, too soon. But soon. He started planning, ring shopping, thinking about how to do it right. Not grand gesture. Olivia didn't want that. Something personal, meaningful, true to them. He was still planning when month 10 brought an unexpected challenge. Rebecca returned, not literally, but metaphorically. She sent an email, found Marcus through LinkedIn, wanted to reconnect. Saw your success, Chen. Technologies is impressive. Would love to catch up if you're in Seattle. Marcus stared at the email. 12 years since Rebecca left. 12 years of using that abandonment as excuse for emotional unavailability. Now she wanted to reconnect. His first instinct, ignore it. Second instinct, tell Olivia. He chose the second. Rebecca emailed, wants to catch up. Olivia's reaction was calm. What do you want to do? I don't know. Part of me is curious. Part of me thinks it's a terrible idea. Part of me wants closure I never got. Then get closure. Meet her. Talk. Process whatever you need to process. But Marcus, be honest with me about it. That's all I ask. You're not worried? About what? You leaving me for your ex from 12 years ago? No, I trust you. Do you trust yourself? Good question. Did he? 6 months ago, maybe not. Now, yes. He trusted that what he'd built with Olivia was real, solid, worth protecting. Rebecca was the past. A formative past, but past nonetheless. Marcus replied to the email. Agreed to meet. Business trip to Seattle. Coffee. Brief. The meeting happened 2 weeks later. Rebecca looked different. Older. Still beautiful but different. They talked for an hour. She apologized for leaving, for the timing, for the pain she'd caused. I was ambitious, selfish. I thought career was everything. I chose wrong. You chose what mattered to you then. I don't blame you anymore. Are you happy now? I saw you're with someone. Your COO. Yes, Olivia. I'm very happy. I'm glad. You deserve that. I'm sorry I couldn't give it to you. We were young, different people. It wouldn't have worked anyway. Closure. Real closure. Marcus realized Rebecca leaving had hurt, but it had also set him on a path that led to Olivia. If Rebecca had stayed, he'd never have built Chen Technologies, never hired Olivia, never found the person he was actually meant to be with. Sometimes what feels like abandonment is actually redirection. He told Olivia everything when he returned. How do you feel? She asked. Grateful, to Rebecca for leaving, to you for waiting, to myself for finally getting brave enough to try. Everything led here, to you, to us. No regrets? Only that I didn't figure it out sooner, that I made you wait, that I almost missed this. But you didn't miss it. You're here, we're here, that's what matters. Month 11, Marcus bought the ring, custom designed, Olivia's style, meaningful, started planning the proposal. Not sure when, just knew it would be soon, knew he wanted to marry this woman. Build a life, make it official. The cold CEO who claimed he didn't date was ready for forever. Funny how things change when you finally let yourself feel. 1 year after the confession in the coffee shop, Marcus planned the proposal. Not elaborate, not public, just meaningful. He chose the office, after hours, the place where they'd met, where they'd worked together for 3 years while both hiding feelings, where everything had started. Friday evening, Marcus told Olivia he needed to work late, asked her to stop by his office at 8 p.m. She arrived curious. Working late on a Friday? That's very old Marcus of you. I need to show you something. He led her to the conference room, the one where they'd had 1,000 meetings, made 1,000 decisions, built a company together. Tonight it was transformed. Fairy lights, photos, a timeline on the walls, pictures of them from the past year, dates, moments, growth, interspersed with office photos from before, when they were just CEO and COO, when neither admitted feelings. Marcus, what is this? Our story, every version of it, the professional, the personal, the hidden, the revealed. Olivia walked the timeline, tears forming. Photos of their first date, the crisis month, meeting each other's families, moving in together, building a life. At the end of the timeline, an empty frame. What goes here? Olivia asked. Marcus stepped beside her. The next chapter, if you'll let me. He pulled out the ring box. Olivia's hands went to her mouth. Olivia Hart, a year ago I told you I'd been lying to myself for 3 years, that I was in love with you and too scared to admit it. You gave me a chance I didn't deserve. You let me prove I could change, could grow, could be the man worthy of your love. He opened the box. This year has been the best year of my life, learning to be vulnerable, to show up, to let myself love you openly. You've been patient, challenging, demanding I be better, and I have been, because of you, because you're worth becoming better for. Olivia was crying now. I spent 6 years claiming I didn't date, didn't want relationships, was complete in my isolation. All lies. What I actually was, terrified, of being hurt, of being abandoned, of not being enough. So I built walls, made rules, convinced myself I was happy. He took her hand. Then you got engaged, and my entire fortress crumbled. Because seeing you with someone else made me realize I'd rather risk heartbreak than live without you. I'd rather try and fail than hide in regret. I'd rather be vulnerable with you than safe without you. Marcus, this year you've taught me what I was missing, what life could be when I stopped hiding. Partnership, support, love, real love. The kind that's messy and scary and worth everything. He knelt. Olivia gasped. Olivia, I want to spend the rest of my life showing up for you, being the man you deserve, building the future we talked about. Will you marry me? Will you take this cold CEO who finally thawed and make him your husband? Silence. Tears. Processing. Then, yes, of course, yes. Marcus slid the ring on. Perfect fit. Stood. Held her. Both crying. I love you, Olivia whispered. I love you too. Thank you for waiting, for giving me a chance, for teaching me how to love. Thank you for learning, for trying, for becoming someone who could be here now doing this. They held each other in the conference room, where they'd had 1,000 professional meetings. This one decidedly personal. This one changing everything. Can I ask you something? Marcus said. Anything. When did you know that I'd changed enough that this was real? Olivia thought about it. Month 4, the company crisis. When you could have retreated and instead you let me in, asked for help, admitted you were scared, that's when I knew. You were choosing vulnerability over control, us over isolation. That's when I believed you'd changed. I was terrified. Asking for help felt like weakness. It was strength, real strength. The cold CEO would have handled it alone. The man I fell in love with let me be his partner. That's the difference. Marcus pulled out his phone, called Kevin. It's done, she said yes. Kevin's whoop was audible even without speakerphone. Finally, I've been waiting for this call for a year. Congratulations, brother. You deserve this, both of you. Thanks for pushing me, for telling me to tell her a year ago. I'd have lost her without your advice. You'd have figured it out eventually, but yeah, I helped speed things along. When's the wedding? We just got engaged 5 minutes ago. Fair point, celebrate, be happy, you've earned this. Marcus hung up, looked at Olivia, his fiancée. A year ago, she'd been engaged to someone else. Marcus had been in denial about his feelings. Everything had been wrong. Now everything was right. What are you thinking? Olivia asked. I'm thinking about the email from Rebecca, month 10. What about it? She chose her career over me 12 years ago. I spent 12 years using that as excuse to avoid relationships, convinced myself love was liability, success was everything. And now I realize she did me a favor. If she'd stayed, I'd never have built Chen Technologies, never hired you, never found the person I was actually meant to be with. Her leaving was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it led here. To you. That's very evolved of you. I'm trying. Therapy helps. But mostly, you help. You make me want to be better, to grow, to show up. I've never wanted that before. Never wanted to be more than I was. You make me want everything. They left the office together, engaged, happy, planning a future. The cold CEO who claimed he didn't date was getting married, to the woman who'd waited, who'd given him a chance, who'd taught him that vulnerability wasn't weakness. The man who'd lost his mind when she got engaged was now the man getting to marry her. Funny how things work out. When you finally let yourself feel, when you finally take the risk, when you finally admit that the fortress you've built is actually a prison. Marcus Chen had learned all of this the hard way. Through panic, through breakdown, through forced reckoning with truth, but he'd learned. And now, engaged to Olivia, building a life, becoming someone he was proud of, he was grateful for the engagement ring that triggered everything, for the breakdown that forced growth, for the woman who'd been patient enough to wait while he figured it out. Final narration. This is the story of Marcus Chen and Olivia Hart. He claimed he didn't date for 6 years. She got engaged and he lost his mind. That crisis became catalyst. That panic became transformation. That breakdown became breakthrough. 1 year later, they were building a life together, Proof that sometimes you have to lose your mind to find your heart. Sometimes you have to watch someone choose someone else to realize you should have chosen them first. Sometimes the fortress you build for protection is actually the thing keeping you from everything you actually want. Marcus learned this the hard way, but he learned. And Olivia, patient, challenging, worth everything, was there when he finally figured it out. The cold CEO thawed. The man who didn't date got engaged. The fortress came down, and in its place, partnership, vulnerability, love, real love, the kind. That's scary and messy and worth every risk. The kind Marcus had spent 6 years avoiding, the kind he'd now spend a lifetime protecting. The end, but also the beginning. Because this is where their story starts, not in crisis, in choice, in daily decisions to show up, be vulnerable, love openly. Marcus Chen claimed he didn't date. Then he met Olivia Hart and learned, sometimes the things you claim most loudly are the lies you most need to confront. Sometimes panic is your psyche forcing you to pay attention. Sometimes losing your mind is the only way to find what actually matters. He lost his mind over an engagement ring, found his heart in the wreckage, built a life in the recovery, and learned that love, real love, is worth every terrifying, vulnerable, beautiful moment. Even for a cold CEO who swore he'd never risk it. Especially for him. Because the people who've been hurt the most need love the most. They just need to be brave enough to try. Marcus tried. Olivia waited. Together they built something extraordinary. From panic, from breakdown, from truth finally spoken. Sometimes that's how the best love stories begin. In the ruins of what you thought you wanted. Building toward what you actually need. The end.